Hi everybody, it is Friday, May 29th. This month has just gone by just really fast. Um, Sorry I don't do as many posts as I'd like, but I'm busy at being self-employed. I'm trying to catch up on my bills and I've got lots of work. It's kind of backing up in some ways. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't really have too much is a lack of work. Just not a lot of paying jobs, just trying to get caught up. Anyway, something that I've been trying to bring up in the past was kind of the story of the Roswell crash. Um, yeah, so if you don't know too much about it, this is a fantastic story that's all too true. And as you know, the people that are in on it or know about it have always tried to say no, it's not real, whatever, because they don't want us to find out. You know, it's pretty obvious. I mean, the basic scenario on that is, if you can imagine, if some people came across, uh, a gold, a little find of gold when they were digging this area. Obviously, you don't want to tell everybody you've got gold, you found gold or something, because then people will start flocking from all over the place, and there'll be a big gold rush, whatever. So you want to keep it amongst your friends that you found a gold mine, basically, and you want to take as much gold out of that gold mine without anybody finding out about it. So that's in a sense what they've been doing about a lot of things, but especially in this case. I mean, the Roswell incident in particular was interesting because it was a more of a military secret rather than just like a treasure trove of information or high tech stuff. But either way, you can tell that once they kibosh that story, they they basically just it was hushed up. So it was put under folklore, but it's very much true. And when I started researching into it, I found that there was some there was some transcripts of a nurse that was having telepathic communication with one of the two beings that survived. There was two beings that survived that crash, and they didn't know what to call them because they didn't know anything about what they were necessarily. But they called them extraterrestrial biological entities. So they called them EB for short. So there was EB1 and EB2. One of them didn't live that long, but I guess EB1 ended up living for maybe a year or two. I forget. I'd have to refresh my memory on this story. But anyway, what I'm going to give you guys is a link to the transcript. Now, when I started listening to this transcript, and you can either read it or someone's got an audio version of it for you, which I'm going to post. Anyway, it's of this lady, Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, or McElroy. It's also known, you might be able to find it under an alien interview. But basically, it's her telepathic communication with this being that it knew that it, because I mean, it's, most creatures, they can sense if they're in danger or not. It kind of realized out of all the people that it was being surrounded by, it realized that they meant this being harm or wanted something from it. But the only person that showed compassion or, not trying to capitalize on it was this lady. So when she was brought into the room, I guess to take a look at this entity, it spoke to her, and she was like, "Did you hear that?" Or, asking around. Well, because it just told me something, whatever, and it started talking to her. And they were going, "What's going on here? Like, you sure you know what you're talking about?" So eventually they realized, okay, it's some sort of telepathic communication with this lady, this nurse, and so she was kept there to communicate with her, with this being. And so this transcript basically explains what she learned from this creature and how they learned to communicate better. And eventually what you're going to realize from this fantastic story is a lot of the stuff that they've been keeping behind, like the reverse engineered technology, they've been slowly releasing it to the public, and basically, again, capitalizing on it. And there's a whole list of things that I can go through, but basically everything from some of the first things they came out with was, for instance, lasers. The transistor came out right after this, so none of this stuff is coincidence. And then I looked down every one of these inventions, and you can kind of see that they're all related to the same companies, which were given this information to basically reverse engineer and then sell to the public. But what they were originally supposed to do was give it to the public. But they gave it to us all right, but at a price. They basically sold it to us. So lasers, infrared goggles, the transistor, fiber optics, microchips for computers, that whole thing. Everything came basically after 1947. Everything, all that stuff. Plasma screens, microwaves, and there's a lot of other high-tech stuff that has been reverse engineered from other craft as well, but I can go on to some other stories later at a later time. But lately, what they've came out in the last at least 10 years in particular, which I get a kick of because I know where it came from, is LED lights. Now, LED lights, if you know anything about them, see, nobody wants to come clean on it because it's really kind of spooky lighting, because it's a light emitting diode. Nobody knows why or how that diode lights up, but it does. And boy, does it light up. Anyway, just look it up. Look up LED. They kind of explain in a hazy way how it works, but they don't want to tell you, well, it's extraterrestrial reverse engineered technology. They're not going to say that. Anyway, so this is going to become a really eye-opening, interesting story for you guys. I'm going to post a link to the transcripts from this lady that basically, got all this information. So yeah, this one is very, very long, but it's well worth listening to. And another thing you're going to pick up on this stories, and when you start listening to it, is the people that were read in or are aware of this transcript. They used it to their advantage as well. And two people in particular are George Lucas. You can realize for sure where he got some of his ideas from, and also Steven Spielberg, because both of Steven Spielberg's two movies are based on these characters, EB1 in particular. But it's basically, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's based on this transcript, everything. So they've basically made millions and millions of dollars on basically keeping this gold mine secret to themselves, and not only that, but other companies, everything. Anyway, this stuff is going to come out probably by the end of this year, by the looks of how things have been playing out, or by next year. So I'm just giving you a heads up. You might as well start finding out about this stuff sooner or later. Okay, so